is the best angle to sharpen a straight razor? What do diamonds have to do with sharpening knives? Who is spitting? Why were the spoons sharpened? Find out on this episode. Welcome to Writing Rule with Allie, the fiction writer's inspiration station for rule life and lifestyles, from historical to post-apocalyptic, helping you bring your rule stories to life. I'm Allie, and this is my 1-year anniversary week from the launch of this podcast. Thank you to all of my listeners. You guys are awesome. For this special episode, I have one near and dear to my heart. So, without further ado, I give you episode 58, Knife Sharpening. Stick around to the end to find out all the ways things could possibly go wrong. Now, let's get into this. Knives have been around since somewhere around 3000 BC. They were originally made of copper and bronze and used for everything from hunting to war to domestic chores like cooking and in the process of making clothing. All of these things wear the knife edge down and dull it. Your character will need to be able to sharpen their knife. Yes, I know, there were stone knives before 3000 BC, but I'm specifically talking about the ones that we can sharpen. Knives have been an important tool ever since. Let's start with what the knife will be sharpened with. A sharpening stone. I know, super creative name. Not. There are 4 types of sharpening stones. A water stone, oil stone, diamond stone, and Arkansas stone. The Arkansas stone is sometimes called novaculite stone. I probably mispronounced that. These stones today are usually in a rectangular shape. The oil stone is a man-made stone that has ingredients coarse enough to grind away the metal and is held together with a bonding agent. I only found 2 types, silicon carbide and aluminum oxide. These stones are called oil stones because they are lubricated with oil to glide the knife across effectively as it is sharpened. Next is the water stone. Yes, water stones get their name because they are lubricated with water. These were originally natural stones. There are 2 main ones, the Belgian wheatstone and the Japanese wheatstone. There is also a synthetic water stone. This type will often wear faster than the other stones and will have to be smoothed out as part of the stone that is used most often will wear down. The smoothing out process is sometimes called lapping. The Arkansas stone is a natural stone originating in, can you guess it? Arkansas. They are sometimes called the novaculite, which is Latin for razor stone. These can be water or oil stones. They were used by the Native Americans and used for trading. In the 1800s, the settlers there started mining them for sale, and they have since become popular internationally. Last is the diamond stone. These are man-made diamond electroplated stones. They will sharpen anything with a cutting edge. That includes ceramic knives, which is why they are becoming more popular in the kitchen, both at home and professionally. Each type of stone will be cared for in a different way. Let me know if you would like to hear an episode on how to care for sharpening stones. Each stone will have its own grit, from the extremely coarse at under 150 grit. That helps to grind the knife edge down and works out nicks in the blade, up to the mirror polish at 10,000 or more grit. This will leave a razor-sharp edge with a reflective finish that shows no signs of imperfections. Basically, sharpening is happening by grinding away some of the metal at an angle that meets with the other side, making it sharp. The lower the grit, the faster the metal comes off. But low grit numbers can make them look scratched. However, high-end grit leaves no marks, even leaving a mirror finish for some. These can be sharper than modern machinery-sharpened razors. I dare say that about 90% of the world does not sharpen their knives this sharp. For regular knives that are used from day-to-day work, 700 to 2000 is the average grit. Axes, tomahawks, butter knives, and other dollar blades will use roughly 400 grit stones. If a person uses a stone over 2000 grit, it's likely they are sharpening a straight razor. Keep in mind, many of these are sharpened in stages to get them to the ideal sharpness. There can also be curved stones. These sharpen things like scythes and sickles, chainsaw blades, curved kitchen knives, and even more. Next, we need to get into the how-tos. The first concept is the angle that will be used. Angles below 10 degrees are very easy to damage or break. Put simply, it will not hold up to cutting paper. The only thing I know that has an angle of 10 degrees or under are some straight razors. 10 to 16 degree angles are still very prone to being too weak to hold up to most things. Basically, you cannot chop food with them. 17 to 25 is the typical angle for most professional kitchen knives. These are a bit more durable, but as with all knives, they will need sharpened with use. 26 to 30 degrees is what most knives will be sharpened to. Also, knives that will see more abuse and cutting through thicker or harder materials will use this. The most widely known being the pocket knife or whittling knives. Also, hunting knives will normally fall into this. Anything from 30 to 40 is a usable edge, but not made for cutting. These includes axes, hatchets, butter knives, and things of that nature. The next thing that you need to know is what the bevel of the knife is, because that is the part your character will be sharpening. The edge of the knife from where it starts to slope down to the cutting edge is called the bevel. That is the part of the knife with the angle. Most knives have double-edged blades, meaning both sides of the cutting edge are angled. But some knives only have one side of the knife angled. Or if you want to get technical, there are single-beveled and double-beveled knives. The most well-known single-bladed knife is a straight-edged razor. I don't mean the disposable kind. Not all straight razors are single-edged, but the vast majority of them are. Most modern people will have a flat rectangular-shaped stone, so let's cover it first. The stone will be placed on a flat surface. The knife will then be placed at the preferred angle and be pushed or pulled across the knife edge from handle to tip. While you should always start from the handle and sharpen to the tip, there is a debate about whether you should push the edge, as in sharpen from the tip of the bevel to the wider knife, or if you should pull it, as in from the knife down to the bevel tip. Let me be clear here that when done right, both ways will sharpen a knife. I know, I can hear the hunter screaming at me already, but hear me out. Knife sharpening done in a professional kitchen is done with the edge pushed along the sharpening stick. Sorry if that's the wrong term, but that's all I got. However, most modern bushcrafters will pull the knife, ending on the edge. Either way, the knife will be done from handle to tip 10 times on each side of the bevel, unless it is single-sided, and then it's only done on one side. After 10, it is then flipped over to do the other side. This is to keep the blade wear consistent. So, what are my personal thoughts about this? I'm of the opinion that I don't care what way it goes. Keeping a consistent angle all the way to the tip is the most important thing, and anything past that is preference. Many people struggle with the tip of the knife because they have a different angle as they turn the upsweep of the blade. Keeping the same angle matters. This is done until they believe the blade is sharp enough. Then it must be tested. Many people use paper to test the sharpness. If it goes through like butter, it is good. Many people in history, and to this day, will do the hair test. Yeah, they might do the hair splitting test that you see where they cut the hair long ways in half. However, more often, they'll test it like they would a razor. Some people use a small spot on their leg and others on their arm. I have known people that would see if they could peel an ultra-thin layer of fingernail off. I was always scared just to cut through my fingernail. Now for some fun parts. I got to practice my knife sharpening skills as a kid at an old Army surplus store with a whole lot of Army vets. So I've got some tips and tricks for you. First, most people sharpen across the shorter section of the sharpening stone. But it is easier to hold the same edge if you sharpen long ways. This is especially true for longer knives. Next, lock your wrist and find a single way to hold the blade, whatever works for you, and do not deviate from it. This will help make sure that the angle is always the same. If you want a sharp tip, you need to sharpen to the tip. For some reason, a lot of people do not finish the last few centimeters of the blade, and I do not understand why. Do this with every single sharpening stroke, and you will not need to worry about redoing the tip later. Next, your character might not have oil or water on hand for lubricating oil or water stones. I'll be honest, I saw the guys spit on the stone and used that so much that I was older before I learned that spit was not how water stones were lubricated. For oil stones, I have seen them use cooking oil and even Zippo lighter fluid. I'm not saying lighter fluid is a good idea, but I have seen it done. The point to all this is that when the proper thing is not available, your character might have to improvise or let their kids spit on the sharpening stone. Knife sharpening is a learned skill. It is not hard to learn, but it does take practice. The more practice, the easier it is. I've been doing this since I was a kid and can do it without really thinking about it, and I can have the knife done in about 5 minutes or less. However, that is a lifetime of practice, and I know people, my husband included, that are a lot better at this than me. Fun story. My dad once sharpened the spoons for some company he didn't like. Let's say people are a bit worried when they eat from a set of sharpened utensils. Like all things, when a person learns knife sharpening, it really depends on the circumstances. All of our kids got knives around 7 and started learning to take care of them and sharpen them then. In the Amish communities, that is a much younger age. However, some kids need to wait until they are a little bit older. If you are riding in the apocalypse, it will likely be a learning curve for a lot of people. And they're going to appreciate that old kook that they all made fun of for stuff like that. Fun fact. The 2 most famous knives in history are the Bowie knife that came out in 1830 and the Swiss Army knife that came out in 1891. Now for everyone's favorite part, what could possibly go wrong? Before we get into the best part, if you enjoy this podcast, I hope you will take a minute to follow, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform. And if you're listening on YouTube, subscribe and hit that like button. Don't forget to share with a friend. And now for everyone's favorite part. Likely to go wrong. Your character is trying to sharpen their knife with one hand and holding the sharpening stone with the other. They slip and cut their finger open. Also likely to go wrong. Your character is learning to sharpen a knife, and they change the angle of the knife in the last centimeter or so leading up to the tip of the knife. This makes the knife uneven, and the tip might not be as sharp as the rest of the knife. Also likely to go wrong. Your character is trying to learn how to sharpen a knife alone during the apocalypse and doesn't know how the angles work or what way to move the knife to sharpen it. They accidentally dull the knife instead of sharpening it. Possible to go wrong. Your character uses a large angle to sharpen a straight razor. This could cause razor burn, as the razor is not as sharp as it should be. Also possible to go wrong. Your character always sharpens knives on the same place on their stone. And after a lot of use, the stone wears down in only the spot they use so much. Also possible to go wrong. Your character thinks that using a low angle to sharpen the knife will make it sharper. However, they soon find out that all they did was make the cutting edge weaker and easier to bend or nick. Unlikely to go wrong. Your character did not know there were 2 sides of the knife blade and only sharpened one side. This could cause the edge to be weak and it breaks or warps easily. Also unlikely to go wrong. Your character grew up seeing people spit on whetstones as lubrication and believes that is the way to care for a whetstone. Also unlikely to go wrong. Your character didn't know that their straight razor was a single-edged bevel. They try to sharpen the other side and in doing so, dull the blade. Improbable, but still technically in the realm of possibilities. Your character places a sharpening stone on their leg as they sharpen the knife. They use more force than they needed to sharpen the knife, causing them to slip and stab their leg. If they hit an artery in their leg, this could be deadly. Also improbable, but still technically in the realm of possibilities. Your character uses lighter fluid to lubricate an oil stone while sharpening a carbon steel knife. The grinding of the blade with the sharpening makes a spark and lights the lighter fluid and everything on fire. This could include the sharpening stone, the knife, or even your character's fingers. Thanks for listening. You can find this episode's show notes and helpful links to learn more on my website, AlleyHart.com. That's ALLEYHART.com. Subscribe and follow for more episodes. Connect by dropping me a comment on my YouTube videos. A new episode comes out every Monday. Until then, happy wordsmithing.